Hello and welcome to episode 23?
No,
Four.
Episode 24 of Royal Oak Comics Party. Today our guest is the mighty Gary Reichel of Cityside and Thomas Video and Tremor
Yeah,
Records
there you
and
go.
making cigar box guitars.
Yay!
Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah, we were just having such an excellent conversation before the cameras started rolling.
Yeah, the secret show, the show behind the show. Yeah.
It's always the best
Yeah.
before and after the show.
Well, tell me, I wasn't here. Were you talking about a film
This is
project
the
that you're
saddest
working
story ever. Yes, tell
on? Tell
about
us
the
the
film project.
saddest story you've
No,
ever
it's
heard.
not the saddest story. No. You were talking about record covers and things. I put out. Being involved with Tremor Records, I've kind of was documenting the Detroit kind of punk garage scene all through the late 70s into the early 90s, and put out a number of compilation records and on vinyl and one on CD as well. But just some of the trials and tribulations, where you have a record together, it's mastered, and then a band has a falling out because they freak out about the cover because it's too graphic and they pull off the project. What do? Everybody pulled together, and we created a new band and made a new song and put it on there, and it was rip-roaring fun.
That's awesome.
Sorry,
So,
go ahead.
so what do you play? You playing instruments on these records? What
I'm in a band called Cityside, like cinematography, side, like homicide, except we kind of softened it with a Y. And, I figure we were had the first punk rock record in Detroit, Gutless Radio, in 1977. And, participated. The scene was just little seedlings then, and then kind of blossomed in 78 and 79. And, being around these other musicians and things was exciting. And, I had my label, and I thought, I wanted to do more. And that's how the compilations started happening, and trying to document the music that happened in the scene. Our band, Cityside, has issued a number of records all through the 80s and 90s and up through now. There's a label in Europe that's issuing on vinyl some of our early 45s and EPs. It's currently being mastered in Berlin. Wow, and so
Cool.
That's kind of exciting. So I think they want to have it out in toward the end of June.
Are you guys going to go out there?
That would be cool. That would be real fun. I don't know. I think it sort of depends what happens. They'll issue it. They'll send some this way, so we'll get some around here in Detroit. But sort of depends what happens. You never know with these records, and we've licensed records to a few different labels in Europe before, and it can be fun, but I don't know if we can go.
I think going out of town to play shows is like where the money is. And
I think so too. Yeah,
Right.
In Europe area,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
actually pay people to play shows.
They do.
Like,
They do. Yeah.
I don't know
They
about
do.
you guys, but if I get $50 for playing a show, that's like
In Berlin?
the best. No, in Detroit, $50 is like the best.
Here, you can learn our songs and go over there as Cityside. How's that?
I would love to do that.
Can I go too? I don't play anything.
Give 'em a
You'll
tambourine.
pretend
Yeah.
to play the beats on the laptop,
Yeah.
and I'll sing them.
Yeah.
You'll
Oh,
play
yeah.
them.
I'll be twisting the knob.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Sounds beautiful.
We could do that.
There you go. Yeah.
As long as there's $50 involved.
Right.
I mean,
$50. Hey.
Well, but overseas, playing live is like more. It's hundreds of dollars.
oh, 50 euros.
Or even when Nick went to New York and played, they were like, I'm so sorry nobody came, and I'm so sorry it wasn't a good night.
Yeah.
Here's almost $300.
Yeah.
And that was like a crappy payout, but like, what if you were that band in New York all the time? Could you make $300 every night?
No.
And
Then your
no.
rent would be $5,000.
Then your rent's
Right.
$1,000.
Right. Right.
There's a lot of trade-offs.
That's
Okay,
like
lay it on
walking
me,
around
dude.
money there.
What, the business plan?
All right. Next.
Sorry. So Cinecide and Tremor Records, but then also, when did you guys take control of Thomas? When it was in Royal Oak still?
Yeah. So I was with Thomas Video for many years, beloved video store, and in fact, the first video store in the U.S. and we think the world.
Really?
Yeah, and that was really because Dennis Thomas started the store in '74, which predates home video. It was a film store, Super 8 movies that went on projectors. You saw Three Stooges, Little Rascals, Chaplins, things like that. So there wasn't home video, but when home video started, there was only, Sony put out Betamax. There weren't any pre-recorded movies. The idea was that you recorded off the air. And so there was this little industry that started of these little tiny companies that would issue these, movies, but there weren't many. You certainly couldn't open a store with it. How could you open a store with 30 titles? You'd be out of business next week. So Dennis had these titles. It was a dedicated movie store, had these titles, and we were the first video customer for Magnetic Video, which happened to be based in Farmington, but they had all the 20th Century Fox titles. Wow. So that's how it started. He started the store. Jim and I were working there. We ended up taking over a department just as an experiment. Dennis then was looking for ways out, smart man, and we ended up taking over more of the store and then all of the store, and then specialized in not only being a neighborhood video store, but a lot of cult, foreign, independent films, and every genre you can think of, really. It's, from horror to Western, classics, everything. And we just did that, and things went along pretty well, but between the economy and technology changing, and it was just hard to battle. And a year ago, it was April 30th, 2014, we announced that the store was closing. Those 3 months that we closed the store were rip-roaring. We even had Quentin Tarantino visited the store twice.
Whoa.
It's like he walks in the store, and I'm thinking to myself, man, that guy looks a lot like Quentin Tarantino. I wonder if I should tell him. And then I just, you just kind of stop, and you're going, wait a second, something's not right here. It's Quentin Tarantino, and he was very nice. Bought a boatload of movies.
Yeah, I was going to say, did he clear you out?
No, I mean, he got loads and loads of VHS movies that were from the 60s and 70s, movies from the 60s and 70s. So we were able to talk to him. He was very interested in the early days of video. He worked in a video store in the early 80s. So it was fun, and then he shows up the next day, and we're like, yeah. So, it was fun, but, all good things come to an end, as the cliche goes. And, July 31st, we closed the store, and that was that. So there you go, folks.
Everyone I know is extremely sad, and still is.
Yeah. It was a wonderful collection. We had so many things that you couldn't find anywhere. There were professors and things that would send their students to our place for certain film assignments. We would have, like I said, loads of foreign films, and it was wild. It was really cool, and we just could have just a little bit more, man. No. But no.
Have you ever had any of the Cinecide songs used in films? To which I'm sure the answer is yes. Yeah.
We financed a film and bought it. And it was a really fun, cool film, but oh my God, it's like the behind the scenes nightmare. Whoa. So we did this guy came in that we kind of knew for about a year. He's kind of an edgy guy, and he had this idea for a film. And he wanted to film it in the store. And we said, okay, cool. So we, bit by bit, we got more involved in it and actually funded it, bought the film. And the film was called You Can't Rent Here Anymore. And it was about a guy, and we've actually, the first part of this has actually happened where you're closing the store. It's midnight. You're lock the door, click. And then somebody's like rattling the door. I got to return my movie. It's like, okay, great. Well, so the guy returns the movie and we relock the door. This is in the film. And we realize, hey, this isn't our movie. Let's see what it is, They put it on. They put it on the VCR and they look at the TV and it's the guy. And it's a snuff film. He's got some girl and he kills her on film. Okay, so now the employees freak out.
This is still the part that actually happened,
Right.
right?
No, this is the movie. The movie. So, so the whole thing is about, the VHS killer is going to come and get him and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so loads of Cinecide songs were used in it.
Oh, yes.
We showed it at the Main Art Theater a couple of times. It was great. And then all the trouble happened.
What is the troubles?
The trouble was the director sued us over the film.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
After you bought it.
After we bought it,
Okay.
yeah. And, it went from small claims to district court in Royal Oak. And the judge said, this lawsuit does not belong in district court. These are copyright issues. This belongs in federal court. So we thought, okay, it's not going to happen. I mean, the barricades for federal court are way higher, way higher. But sure enough, this fella found a lawyer to take it on a contingency basis, meaning, he doesn't get paid unless they win.
Wow.
So we had to scramble to find a lawyer, and we did, and had to go through federal court, and it never made it. It went through several hearings and things, but we basically worked out an arrangement with them where we retained ownership of the film. And as far as specific details, I think I'm not supposed to say.
I was just going to say, if it got to that level
right,
and you're still able to talk about it, something must have happened.
But I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we were just, I think we were kind and supportive, and really did a lot with the film as far as the creative end, wrote scenes and suggested pacing and editing and all this other stuff. Did a lot. It was very interesting, very fun. But ultimately, the director was, for one reason or another, was not happy with us. And I think we were good guys, and I think that he's his issues. There we go.
Are you guys planning to do any other type of films? Do you want to produce more films or work on more films?
I am producing now part of a series called Detroit Punks. There's a few episodes on YouTube right now, and it's really from a guy by the name of Mark Norton. Mark Norton was he was lead vocalist for a band called the Ramrods. If you are interested in punk rock, or rock and roll for that matter, you should hear the Ramrods. They're great. They were a Detroit band, alive for about 6 months, and boom, they just exploded and melted down. But he was from a band called the 27, and then he went out to Denver to live and formed this organization called Peace Jam. And he reverted to his family name, which is, he goes by Ivan Savangiov, and he's head of this Peace Jam organization. He's been just nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize,
Wow.
which is just mind-blowing. But he's been doing these things, trying to document some of the musicians in the Detroit punk scene from the last 30 years. And so I've acted as a producer for him, making contact with people, doing interviews with people, and things like that. It's interesting work.
So a couple episodes of the show have already come out. What is the name of the show again?
Detroit Punks. So the first episode was about a fella by the name of John Brannon, who was in Negative Approach, Laughing Hyenas, and now Easy Action. And, he's got a real following in different parts of the country. I mean, real. And, real interesting character, real interesting guy. and his music is very hard, but it's, to me these are like theme songs of Detroit. I mean, that's, we live in Detroit, and sometimes it's not the easiest, and sometimes we feel neglected or out of the way. But to me, what all these musicians do are, including myself, we're making songs that are soundtracks of Detroit. Some are more successful than others, and I only mean artistically, I don't mean financially.
Right.
But that's what that is. We're currently trying to finish up a episode on Danny Kroha, who was in a band called the Gories, and then later in the Demolition Doll Rods. And the Gories have just launched a European tour. I mean, they have a lot of people coming to see them in Europe. Again,
Right.
there's in Europe. And, Mick Collins was in the Gories, who was in the Dirt Bombs. And, some, obviously, people watching this, they may not know, but, look it up, Google it or something. And, these guys have done, they've accomplished some real things and made some interesting and raw music.
I think some of it's beyond Googleable, though. Like, you could find this existed or these things happened in this year or this time, but I think the true fleshed out tale isn't really online yet.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff on the Gories.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many untold stories. These musicians that are making music, they pour their hearts into it and things, and it's there's a lot of great stuff, just really, really great stuff, and most people never hear it, but it's good stuff. And so this is a little bit of our bit on trying to get that heard again.
That's great. Can we talk about what you have with you?
Yes.
Right now, I don't want. I don't want to run out of time and not get to take a look at this. This is this a cigar box guitar?
It is. This is a cigar box guitar.
Did you make this?
I made this, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, so, including the carving the neck, fretting it to the right scale, installing a internal pickup, the whole bit. So, yeah, it's just, it's a regular cigar box, and you sort of carve it out and put a neck in it, and there you go. So the tradition is these were instruments of hard times. People with little money that wanted to have an instrument. So starting about the Civil War era, maybe just before that, he had people making these kind of things. The cigar boxes were just garbage. They could take them, that act as a resonator, get a piece of hardwood, put it in there, and they started out as one-stringed instruments for the most part that were played with a bottle, diddly bows. Later on, they got a little more sophisticated, 2- and 3-string. Traditionally, for the most part, a lot 3-string. And in the Depression, sort of saw a resurgence with lack of money. There were a number of blues guys started this way. It's not completely a blues instrument, but a lot of blues guys did. Bo Diddley made his guitars, made a lot of guitars, gave them away. Carl Perkins and started out with a cigar box guitar. Anyway, I always knew about them, liked roots instruments, started making them just out of interest, and just became fascinated with them. And I also like to put imagery on them. I don't do it on all of them, but I'll put imagery and things.
It's like a movie poster?
Yeah, that's a movie poster, Born Losers, yeah.
Are these little pieces at the bottom?
Yeah.
May I look at it?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So at the bottom, there's like a little piece of a bolt?
That's a bolt, yeah.
Did you have to snap the head off of it?
No, you just cut them to what the length you want.
And then up at the top, it's the same thing. So the strings are kind of resting there and then resting down here.
That's
and then
right,
this looks like a little hinge.
That's
where
right, it's a
the strings
hinge.
are just going right through the little holes in the hinge.
Yeah,
that's
right.
awesome.
Yeah. And
these
you can make them a lot of different ways. There's so what you pointed out there for those bolts, where it's the bridge and the nut.
Yeah, you made a nut out of a bolt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. I think that this could be very useful with
Yeah. And I
tons of distortion pedals.
right, I electrify them. You can play them through an amp.
Do you put a pickup in the body, or what? How do you electrify
Inside,
it?
I do put pickups that are on the outside, like a traditional electric guitar, but
Yeah.
this one happens to have one inside. And these are what's called an open tuning.
Whoa!
And it's unamplified and stuff, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Right, yeah. And it's a lot, I'll make some that you use with just a slide, they're unfretted and
Yeah.
the strings are a little higher, so you use I like a heavy glass slide. Will give a good sound, so.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
Really
that's
cool.
Ever since you started posting about those on the internet, I feel like that there just needs to be the most ripping, noisy,
Yeah.
just down and dirty rock group
Yeah,
that has like one of those as the guitar.
Yeah.
And could you make one that's to a larger scale to become a bass or be
Yeah.
lower?
Yeah.
Or maybe
sure,
it could just
yeah.
be tuned down.
It would be
and
made
then it
out
gets
of a
slappy.
cigar box box.
A
Yeah,
cigar
yeah,
box
it's a
box.
cigar. Yeah, cigar box bass. Yeah, there's a guy that's gonna have me make him a cigar box bass.
Cool.
I don't know, I think like in a month or something. He's got some parts, but some of the issues with that are that usually would make that as a 2-string instrument. In a lot of ways, keeping it basic and more rootsy. There isn't a truss rod in this. So there's not a metal rod inside. So with the bass, you want to be
Too much
careful.
tension on the
right.
strings or something.
You want to use a real super hardwood and give it all the help you can.
Did someone teach you how to do this, or did you just
No.
learn on your own?
Learned on my own.
Do you have like a garage full of horrible ones that don't work?
No, every one I've made has been
Oh, really?
been happening. Yeah,
That's a good success rate.
Yeah. Well, it's you can learn from. There's online sources and things, but there's even it's a principle is what they call a luthier. And I'm not going to say I'm a luthier. It's a guitar maker. It's you can look at all that about the bridge and the nut have to be a certain length to correspond to the frets. And they can be shorter. This could be up here, it could be shorter, but the frets would be different. So you have to follow all those kind of principles to make it sound right. Otherwise, it's going to sound like crap.
The only other guy I know who's into the cigar box guitars is this guy who does comics who works at the McDonald's. I forget what his name is. He does
Mark.
those- Yeah, Mark. He's always posting stuff about the cigar box guitars.
Okay. He just posted something, one of my guitars that I built for him.
Oh yeah.
Right, the Earth versus the Flying Saucers is what it
Yes.
was. I made it.
Awesome.
I made
I
that
wondered.
for him,
I
yeah.
was like, there.
Right.
That has to be definitely a connection there, because
Yeah,
how
yeah.
could it be
Such a
anyone
small
else?
world.
Right, yeah.
Cool, man.
Well, again, it's it doesn't have to be blues, or strictly country or folk.
Yeah.
You can play lots of different. You can play rock and roll on this. You can play jazz, but they were born of a more rootsier, origin. I like them. I have fun with them.
That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you take it out and play it? Do you play it for anyone else, or is it just a personal pleasure type of deal?
Oh, you mean do I do gigs with it?
Or
No.
or just like go places and
Yeah.
say,
Right.
look,
I
you're
brought
in
my
this.
cigar box
You're
guitar.
gonna finally get an ADAT repaired, and there's gonna be the Gary solo twanged out,
Right.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
older and wiser solo album.
How low?
Hello.
Solo.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I've played for people and stuff, and I've actually written songs for the band on it, but they, transpose it to.
They go,
No
no,
more.
no, you're not bringing
No.
that thing in here.
Well, you never know. But yeah, and I think they're good.
You gotta just make them like a cigar box drum kit and like a cigar box bass.
Right? Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Wild stuff. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So that's funny. It's funny you mentioned Mark.
Yeah.
Mark and that. Yeah. That was so funny,
The
yeah.
rest of the cigar box guitar community, unfortunately, I don't know any of them. But
Yeah. Well, as I build them and I have them in, either somebody will see me post something online, or there's a few shops that have them. I've had people just buy them to hang them on a wall, as for looks.
Do you ask
It
them
was
ahead of
dark.
time so you know like whether to work on them harder or not?
No, they're what they'll get is a completely playable instrument, totally. I mean, I don't just make for decoration. I mean, if I'm making them, it's a real instrument.
That's super
So,
cool.
but
Thanks for bringing that in.
thank you. Thanks for having me.
I think we're out of time already.
Oh,
Wasn't watching the
man.
clock
Super
at all.
quick.
Yeah.
Wow, that was.
But thanks, Gary. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and hope to see you around soon.
All right, thank you.
It's an honor and a pleasure, sir.
Bye, everybody.